That's for opposing me. It's too late for regrets now. A ceaseless smirk on division manager Olivia and his subordinate Jake. I pressed my lips into a thin line and nodded in acknowledgement. Then, with a look of boredom, Olivia sighed. I was hoping to hear the crying of a loser, but it seems you're too old to even make a sound. What a letdown. As I was blocked and looking down, wondering what to do, Olivia added insult to injury. Something stirred deep within me. The month after being suddenly told I was out of a job and taking early retirement. Sure enough, calls from Olivia kept coming incessantly, but this was expected. Now, I'm feeling intensely sympathetic towards them. I could have at least done the handover, but you wasted that chance. I faced the direction of the office where Olivia would be and sighed. What are you gonna do now? Reflect or double down? I'm curious to see. They must have finally realized. Do you seriously think you can run that department by yourselves? That's wildly off the mark. The phone keeps ringing as usual. The voicemail has several messages of Olivia yelling in anger. Curiosity got the better of me, and I played one of them. My name is Michael, 50 years old. I work at an IT company. I'm currently involved in a tech-related business. EdTech is a term combining education and technology, involving various projects like learning apps and online seminar systems. I joined this company due to headhunting by a certain individual. However, at the strong request of the person who offered me the job, I've hardly disclosed any detailed background information to my colleagues. At first, a few people were curious about my background when I joined a company, but that curiosity faded within a year. However, due to this period's personnel changes, attention has oddly shifted back to me. No thanks. I don't want to see this old man's face first thing in the morning. This is a major reason for that shift. Olivia, who newly arrived as the division manager this spring, complains loudly on purpose while brushing back his long hair. He's a decade younger than me, 38, and puts a lot of effort into his appearance and grooming, always sporting unnaturally white teeth. Why do I have to deal with such a scruffy old man under me? Olivia sighs exaggeratedly. I just nodded without saying anything. In situations like this, it's best to clear your mind. Then, Jake's overly cheerful voice comes from behind. Manager Olivia, you look beautiful as always today. Stop it, Jake. He's Olivia's favorite young employee. Jake, 32 years old. A typical yes man, clearly cozying up to Olivia for his own advancement. Jake whispers to her, making sure no one else can hear. Did you change your perfume by any chance? Stop teasing an older woman. Enough already. Sorry. They seem to be flirting, but this is a workplace. I sigh quietly when they are not looking, thinking they should take it outside. Is this company okay? From the outside, it might look like Jake is playing around with manager Olivia, but I know the truth. Olivia has someone else in mind, and that's the director of HR. Otherwise, it's hard to imagine her landing such a senior role with her limited tenure and experience. It's like a soap opera. Unaware of these circumstances, Jake is trying to win Olivia over, hoping for a chance. But in that game, she's the one with the upper hand. In fact, it's Jake who's being played like a fiddle. All of Jake's youthful energy. I'm gonna take it all for myself. When will Jake realize that he's being steadily drained by Olivia, the witch? By the time he notices, he'll just be older and full of regrets. I mutter to myself, as if talking to no one. While all this is happening, Olivia turns her attention to me again. Looking over the schedule shared among the employees, she points at me. You're out and about again today, old man. If you're not in the office, I have no idea what you're up to. Sorry. I'm off to do some field work. You could do that online too. That's just an excuse. We're an IT company, after all. Olivia has a point. But this is the hope of the other side. Since the other party wants to meet with me in person, I think I have no choice. With that, Olivia crosses her arms and clicks her tongue in annoyance. She should be aware of this situation since I've been sharing these requests from the client with her all along. In other words, she just wants to complain to me. Don't slack off. I can see right through you when you're not working hard. I'll be on my way then. I hinge my back and quickly leave the office, slinging my backpack over my shoulder. As I pass by Jake, he smirks and mouths off. Useless. Jake clearly says that to me. That evening, After completing my rounds as planned and returning to the office, I notice a co-worker frantically working. With a pale face, she alternates between looking at her computer screen and her documents, murmuring, "What should I do?" while holding her head. Is something wrong? "Oh, Michael, welcome back. I forgot about an important task we needed to outsource for the system. What should I do? I might miss the deadline." I try to calm my panicked colleague with a "take it easy. Can you show me all the related documents?" Yes. Here it is." "What should I do? This is going to cause trouble for other departments too." I raised an eyebrow slightly. This is my chance to show what I can do. Michael, what are you?" Ignoring my colleague's concern, I immediately powered up my computer and started coordinating with various contacts at lightning speed through emails, calls, and chats. Yes. Can you manage with that schedule? Thank you so much." I didn't hesitate to use my connections either. I directly called a contact from a company I had dealt with in the past, without an appointment. I should also share this with the sales team. Taking initiative and networking are crucial in these situations. This should do it. Sorry, what's happening right now?" To my bewildered colleague, I answered with a smile. "I've arranged for Company F, whom I've worked with previously, to handle that task. While it may be slightly pricier, they provide reliable after-support, making maintenance easier if issues arise." Hearing this, my colleague looked as if a light bulb went on in her head. I was too focused on cost and deadlines. I should have anticipated the potential for troubleshooting. I made a mistake in choosing the outsourcing partner. She looked down, showing a hint of regret. "It turned out to be a blessing in disguise that you forgot. If you have any more troubles, just let me know." Troubles? What's that about? Out of nowhere, Olivia appeared before us, standing tall. "Is there a problem?" "Stop it, it'll be my responsibility." Olivia, always quick to try to cover her own back, showed no concern for her subordinate's progress. I couldn't help but frown. "Please don't worry. We managed to handle it before it became a problem. But the cost went up, right?" I was listening. Jake, who had been lurking behind Olivia, chimed in. Hearing this, Olivia yelled hysterically, "Hey, old man, what do you think you're doing? You don't have the authority for that, do you?" My colleague flinched at their screeching voices, closing her eyes tightly. Seeing no other choice, I stepped forward. "I will provide a detailed report on the budget later, but considering the cost-effectiveness, this was the best course of action." After I stated my opinion clearly, Olivia pursed her lips and sneered. "You just wanted to show off to the younger folks, didn't you? Just empty words. What do you base that on?" Then, Jake chimed in with his eyes rolling in agreement with Olivia. "I mean, you should have consulted with Olivia from the start. She's a charismatic leader, you know." "Right, Olivia." With Jake giving her a sycophantic look, Olivia smiled back, pleased. "That's right, I am charismatic. Sounds good, doesn't it?" She looked utterly self-satisfied, as if drunk on her own words. It seemed her mood had improved, but I fearlessly said to them, "A good leader is not defined by their charisma. In history, those with immense charisma often end up remembered as villains." Huh? I realized I had spoken too much. Olivia looked at me quizzically as I came back to my senses. That's a quote from the famous Austrian management scholar, Draco Barfin. As I answered apologetically, Jake burst out laughing. "Well, there are actually people who pull out quotes from famous figures like that. I'm totally creeped out, man. Seriously. For a moment, I thought you had lost your mind." The two of them mocked me, laughing uproariously. "Really? What is this guy even talking about? Too funny." It's gradually hitting me. After being the butt of their jokes for a while longer, I couldn't stand it and quickly left the scene. Less than a month later, I decided to take early retirement. It all started from something trivial. One day, a different colleague from the one I had helped with a problem sent me a chat out of the blue. "Michael, can I get your advice on something?" After I quickly agreed, I made eye contact with the person sitting far away. I approached him with a solemn expression, noticing his furrowed brows. "What seems to be the problem?" "I tried the method you taught me last time, but I can't seem to get along with the local people. At this rate, we won't make the release deadline." "Do you know the root cause of the problem?" "That's the thing. We can't quite put it into words." I nod thoughtfully as my colleague speaks. He's currently working on developing an educational support application in partnership with the Myanmar government. It's one of the company's key projects, and failure is not an option. What did Olivia say? She told me to figure it out on my own. What? I couldn't believe my ears. Olivia, his supervisor, seemed to have washed her hands of the matter prematurely without taking any responsibility. My colleague muttered with a troubled look. She insists that we must complete the project no matter what. I'm at a dead end here. Hearing this, I was at my wit's end. So, she intervenes but doesn't actually help with anything. I racked my brain trying to find some way to help him out. Then, it happened. Just tell the Myanmar government whatever, and force the delivery through. Huh? Was that a joke? I did a double take at Olivia, who had suddenly appeared, but she was completely serious. It's a one-time request, so once we deliver, any problems are not our concern. Let the locals handle it afterward. Yes, let's proceed with that plan. Her face lit up, and she clapped her hands together. My colleague and I exchanged strained smiles, staring at her as she got carried away by herself. If we do something that reckless, our company's reputation will plummet. I'll think of another plan. My colleague next to me nodded in agreement at my response, but Olivia's stance remained unchanged. If you don't do as I say, you are fired. You know who's backing me, right? She smirked smugly, leaning in close with a triumphant look. You're smart, you know what I mean, right? Hut, old man. Like a snake coiling around its prey, Olivia slowly circled around me. Then, a few days later, I was suddenly called by the director of HR and was told I was fired. Walking down the company hallways in a daze, I ran into the very person who must have been working behind the scenes. That's for opposing me. It's too late for regrets now. Facing the two, who couldn't stop their smirks, I pressed my lips into a thin line and nodded in acknowledgement. Then, Olivia sighed, looking bored. I was hoping to hear the last howl of a defeated dog, but it seems the old man can't even make a sound anymore. What a disappointment. As I was blocked and looking down, wondering what to do, Olivia added insult to injury. That's what you get for acting on your own. If you don't play your cards right, you'll end up getting hurt. Defying your own boss. Something stirred deep within me. I've been thinking about how to get rid of you, old man. Every company has one. Someone who just drifts along, doing nothing, just collecting a paycheck. What a problem. Holding a box of my personal items, I fixed them with a sharp glare. What's with that look? Olivia momentarily flinched at the face I showed, something she had never seen from me before. But her expression quickly returned to normal. The project with the Myanmar government, it turned out fine in the end. Looks like that subordinate of yours pulled through. Well, I'll take all the credit for it. Your credit. I couldn't hold back anymore. He was abandoned by his boss, struggled, and suffered to make that project work. Please give your subordinates the recognition they deserve. Otherwise, no one will ever recognize you. I can't remember the last time I was this worked up. Scolding someone is exhausting, both mentally and physically. As I caught my breath, my emotions slowly settled. Thank you for everything. My successor, Jake, I'm leaving him in your hands, okay? Please take care of him. I shook his hand. Jake looked taken aback for a moment before he spread his arms in a goofy gesture. No need for a handover. You weren't doing much work anyway. That's right. Glad to be rid of one troublesome and outdated old man. These two don't understand anything. But maybe I'll start dropping famous quotes into my work conversations from now on. Stop it. That's not you at all. Their carelessness, foolishness, shallowness. It's definitely they who will regret this, no doubt about it. I slowly raised my head and straightened my posture. Understood. Then, this is goodbye from me. Leaving the company so abruptly felt a bit pitiful to me. There was so much more I wanted to say, so much more I wanted to teach. At least the colleagues other than Olivia and Jake were diligently fulfilling their duties and pressing forward. Supporting and fostering their growth was one of my goals. If only those two troublemakers had a bit more humility. But some things can't be helped. Truly, those two are despicable beyond redemption. This was a first for me, but recognizing when to step back is sometimes necessary. I thought about meeting the person who offered me this job one last time, but decided against it at the last minute. I was aware that I was giving up halfway through. In the following month after my resignation, as expected, calls from Olivia kept coming incessantly, but this was anticipated. Now, I deeply sympathize with them. I could have at least done the handover, but it was foolish of them to let that chance slip through their fingers. I faced the direction of my former workplace and sighed. What are you planning to do now? Reflect or brazen it out, I wonder. It'll be interesting to see. They must have finally realized. Do they seriously think they can run that department by themselves? That's wildly off the mark. The phone keeps ringing as usual. The voicemail has several messages of Olivia yelling in anger. Out of curiosity, I played one of them. Why aren't you answering the phone? Hey, explain this. All transactions under our jurisdiction have been canceled. We're looking at a massive loss of $34 million. Everyone mentions your name when I ask what happened. What exactly is going on? Let's get to the revelation. Who was he, really? The chaos had started the day after I resigned. What had happened in that department led by Olivia, resulting in all transactions being canceled, and a loss of $34 million. The clues were likely provided by the colleagues I had helped along the way. Looking back, Michael was always observing everyone's movements. He was the first to notice whenever I was struggling. Me too. Talking to Michael was so easy. And he was actually incredibly knowledgeable. That's true. Whenever he got into it, his eyes would change, and he'd solve problems in no time. He had extensive connections both within and outside the company. Regarding the Myanmar issue, he provided valuable advice on overcoming language barriers and connecting with locals. Starting with these two, other employees began reminiscing. Oh, that reminds me, and now that you mention it, Michael did. So, who was he? Olivia exclaimed, losing her patience. Then, Jake suddenly started scratching his head frantically. Wow, how many tasks was that guy handling? There's no way I can deal with this many emails. It's impossible for me. What? What's happening now? Material procurement, staffing, credit risk, situational understanding, process and budget management, political instability. There's a lot to consider, all by himself. That's insane. Olivia's expression grew increasingly pale. Then, one of the colleagues took a call from a client. After a long conversation, she hesitantly raised her hand. This is from one of our business partners, taken care of by Michael. They said if Michael isn't here, they'll cancel the contract. What? Sorry, I'm getting the same kind of calls over here. Just like that, orders were lost one after another, and the anticipated revenue turned dramatically into a deficit. As a result, Olivia's department ended up with a $34 million loss. How can this be happening? How can one person's absence lead to this? Olivia shook with disbelief at the unacceptable reality. But even now, no one could fully grasp who I really was. A dream. Was it all just a dream? Maybe there never was an employee named Michael from the start. Yes, that must be it. Olivia, come on, that's a bit much. Or maybe a gnome that worked by itself at night. Just as Olivia's reasoning seemed to break down, that person appeared. He was a legendary project manager. The CEO finally reveals my identity to the employees. And now, here he sits in front of me, alone. To think you'd come all the way to my home. I'm here in the lounge of my apartment, which is exclusive to registered residents. Is it not acceptable for me to visit you here? After all, I recruited you to join our company. You can't simply leave without saying anything. Please don't phrase it like that. I didn't resign voluntarily. I was compelled to resign. As I counted, the CEO awkwardly averted his gaze. After a moment of silence, he hesitantly began to speak. There's someone outside waiting. If it's all right with you, may I invite her in? That's fine. I had a hunch about who it might be. The CEO reluctantly got up and opened the lounge door, attempting to invite a woman inside. However, she hesitated to enter with a sulky demeanor. Olivia, I appreciate you coming all this way. Please, come in. Olivia glared at me with a resentful look. I thought she might have come to apologize, but the atmosphere suggested otherwise. What's this? Are you kidding me? It seemed she was still quite upset. The CEO, with a resigned expression, tried to calm Olivia down. That's your problem, always taking your frustration out on others. It's a bad habit of yours. You've been deceiving us all along, haven't you? Pretending to be someone who couldn't do much work. Olivia turned her wide-eyed gaze towards me, her excitement palpable. I apologize for keeping silent. I was supporting your department from the shadows. Supporting. Sneaking around and acting like you're someone important. Who do you think you are? Olivia stormed into the lounge and slammed her hand on the table with force. The concierge, standing back, peeked over in surprise at the commotion. The CEO frowned. Olivia. He was a former professor of economics at a famous university in Berlin, Germany. That's where he acquired his project management skills. Project management, while it's still not very widespread here, in Germany, it's as prestigious and popular as being a lawyer or a doctor. It refers to someone who secures personnel, meticulously plans, manages quality and costs, and oversees to ensure results are achieved within deadlines. He's even been called a future leader in the making. Olivia stood there, mouth agape. In his previous job, he had the authority to sign off on decisions worth up to $80 million as a matter of course. As I spoke calmly, she hesitantly asked, "What were you doing before you joined us?" I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes tightly. The work I had been involved in spanned a wide range. Project managers seek opportunities across different companies. Previously, I led plant construction projects as a chief. Prior to that, I served as the general manager for a domestic football team facing collapse. Before that, I oversaw a significant renovation project for an indoor amusement park in Qatar. And before that, if I recall correctly. That's enough. Even the CEO looked at me with admiration. Everywhere he went, he led projects to great success. That's why he's called a legendary project manager. I scratched my head, feeling a bit embarrassed. But Olivia bristled as if she didn't like how the conversation was going. Then why didn't you reveal his background from the start? This method is just too much. It makes my skin crawl. If we had told you from the beginning, would your arrogant and selfish behavior have changed? Well, that's... Olivia mumbled, perhaps reconsidering her past misdeeds and rude attitude towards me. But it was too late. If we had told you from the start, wouldn't you have just dumped all the work on me? After all, that's what you did with your subordinates, isn't it? I wasn't aware of that. Is that true? With the CEO right there, Olivia bit her lower lip, unable to confirm or deny. The CEO's directive wasn't just about traditional project management. It was to bolster this department and assemble a team that excels not only within the company but also stands out as top class in the industry. To achieve that goal, I deliberately limited my capabilities and worked minimally. So, I aim to nip problems in the bud while boosting the team from the bottom up. I plan to gradually delegate my tasks to the most suitable individuals. The average age in that department, including you, is young. While energetic and lively, it lacks experience and mature knowledge. Above all, the leadership quality is terribly lacking. I told her plainly. What do you mean by that? Originally, someone else was supposed to be the department head, not you. But somehow, your name ended up on the list. Well, that was. She couldn't possibly admit it was due to the HR director's forceful recommendation. Anyway, I intended to stay in the background. Young people nowadays are incredibly busy. Time performance, wasn't it? You probably thought it was foolish to go out and conduct hearings, right? Olivia fell silent, caught off guard by the question. But such diligent efforts are crucial. The larger the project, the more you need to build trust both inside and outside the company. Absolutely. You look down on the sayings of Draco Barwin, whom I respect the most. If you want to call yourself a manager, you should at least read one of his books. Olivia was left floundering for words. I heard you directed your subordinate to deliver a subpar system to the Myanmar government, correct? The $34 million loss resulted from clients withdrawing after hearing these rumors. After all, the industry is small. I was just desperate to meet the deadline. I firmly replied to the pleading Olivia. Your poor judgment has hurt your subordinates, lost clients' trust, and disappointed consumers who end up with the system. You don't have the qualities of a leader. Not at all. Do you have to say it like that? The CEO nodded deeply in agreement. It seems the position of manager was not suitable for you. Wait, CEO. Give me another chance. No, it's impossible. Give it up. With that, the CEO quickly stood up, nodded politely, and turned towards the exit. Wait, please. After all the effort I put in to climb up here, the CEO stopped in his tracks. I gulped and spit, wondering what he's going to say. I'll also hold the HR director accountable for mixing personal issues with work. I won't ask what your relationship was. Without looking back, the CEO left the lounge. It's over now. Olivia, completely written off, collapsed weakly on the spot. Just a few weeks later, an emergency board meeting was called. The HR director was demoted and received a pay cut but managed to stay with the company. However, the real issue turned out to be the exposure of his affair with Olivia to his wife, leading to a messy divorce trial and a hefty alimony claim. Work became the least of his worries. Of course, Olivia was in a similar boat. She was given a 0 management skill rating by the management team and was stripped of her managerial position. Assigned to a regional branch, Olivia mistakenly thought she could escape the divorce trial by accepting the transfer, but reality wasn't so kind. The wife, of course, tracked Olivia down to her new location, keeping a close eye on her to ensure she pays up the agreed alimony. Olivia, now faced with demotion, a pay cut, bonus reduction, and a hefty alimony payment, has aged significantly, appearing like an old woman at 38, desperately clinging to her social standing. Her daily mutterings about how many years till retirement and how much more to pay in alimony are really unsettling. As for Jake, who was acting like a shadow to Olivia, his previous derogatory remarks and missteps had alienated colleagues and clients alike, leaving him isolated. Without Olivia's support, he left the company in desperation and hastily started a pancake specialty store in the city center without a plan, only to see it flounder badly. Now, he's struggling with unpaid rent for the store, burdened with unsold stock and cooking equipment. And that's how things settle down. Is that so? The CEO cleared his throat with a cough. How about it? Won't you come back? As much as I felt for the pleading CEO, I had already committed to another job. I've been offered to lead a major renewal project for a shopping district in the Northeast region as a project manager. I see. Then, there's nothing to be done. Small stores in the United States, especially those that operate within traditional retail sectors, have indeed faced significant challenges due to the rise of e-commerce. Shopping districts play a valuable role in generating revenue for local communities. I wanted to contribute in any way I could to change this situation. Good luck, the Draco Barwin of the U.S. The CEO, mentioning the name of the management scholar I respect the most, gave me a push forward.